is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be going over my 10th overall pick draft strategy in a 12-team league. Inside of today's video, we'll begin by discussing my early round draft strategy, so who are the players I'm looking to target in the early rounds of a 12-team draft from the 10th overall pick, and then we'll be discussing my middle round targets as well as my late round targets, and then about halfway into the video, we're going to be pivoting into a 12-team mock draft from the 10th overall spot, so you guys could see what I would be doing if this was a real 12-team league from the 10th overall spot. But before we could get into things, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. It would help us out a ton. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter, please do so at Notorious FNTSY. So without further ado, let's get into my 10th overall pick draft strategy. So before we actually go ahead and actually break down pick by pick what I'm looking to do in a draft from the 10th overall spot, I would like to make a note that I make in all these draft strategy videos, and that is that you shouldn't go into the draft thinking you have to follow by any given strategy. Say you think I need to get a quarterback before the 5th round comes to a close. Then you're up in the 5th round. You're at pick 58 because that's where you'd be picking if you were at the 10th overall spot to start the draft. You get there, and then maybe Kyler, Mahomes, Herbert, Lamar, all these guys that you might want are now gone. So then you're thinking, oh, I told myself that I have to draft a quarterback by pick 58, and then one of them isn't there, so let me reach and take Dak at this spot. Let me reach and take Russell Wilson at this spot, and that doesn't make sense because you are reaching multiple rounds. You are putting yourself inside of a metaphorical box by going into the draft thinking you have to do a certain thing, thinking in the 3rd and 4th round, by the time the 4th round comes to a close, I need to have 3 running backs. What happens if the running back value is complete ass and there's a lot of wide receivers available, but now you're reaching on running backs that should not be taken anywhere near that range because you told yourself before the draft you needed to take a running back in that round. So make sure that you go into the draft with a very open mind. You could think going into the draft, hey, I want to get 2 running backs in the first 3 rounds, and that's a perfectly fine strategy. But if things don't go your way, make sure you are able to mentally pivot off of that strategy. So the draft would begin right now, according to ADP from Yahoo, Fantrax, FFC, and Sleeper, all averaged together. The draft would begin pick 1, Jonathan Taylor, followed by Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Cooper Kupp, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Najee Harris, and Jamar Chase. So now we're up at number 10, and all those players are gone. The best players available right now, according to ADP, would be Joe Mixon, Davante Adams, Stephon Diggs, Nick Chubb, Travis Kelce, DeAndre Swift, Javonte Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Alvin Kamara, Deebo Samuel, Aaron Jones. So at the 10th overall pick, there's basically a pocket of guys that I would feel comfortable selecting. That is Adams, Diggs, Kelce, Swift, and Lamb. I think those guys are all acceptable to be taken at the 10th overall pick. Normally, again, I go into the draft trying to get a running back early because I do realize that there is a pretty strong fall off, in my opinion, at the running back position after the 3rd round finishes, but about halfway into the 3rd round in reality. So I kind of want to go running back here, but I am going to just be taking the best player available, and I'm going to go with Davante Adams. I understand that some people might be nervous about Davante Adams because he goes from Aaron Rodgers to Derek Carr. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is technically one of the better quarterbacks I've ever seen in my lifetime, so obviously the guy is amazing. But at the end of the day, it's not like the Las Vegas Raiders have a quarterback that's fucking incompetent, a guy that can't throw the ball at all. So I think that Davante Adams will not struggle at all in this new offense. He obviously played in college with Derek Carr, so things are going to be perfectly fine. I think Davante Adams could easily finish at the end of the year as the #1 receiver in fantasy football, so to me, he's definitely worth a 1st round pick. After that, we would see Joe Mixon, Stephon Diggs, 9-inch Nicholas Chubbs, and Travis Kelce come off the board. So at pick number 15, players that are best available on the board: DeAndre Swift, CeeDee Lamb, Javonte Williams, Alvin Kamara, Deebo Samuel, Aaron Jones, Tyreek Hill, and then if you're a little bit crazy, you can go quarterback and Josh Allen. I don't do that, so he's kind of off my board. So at pick number 15, I'm just going to keep it safe, keep it simple. We're going to go with DeAndre Swift. I understand that he's on the Detroit Lions, and that is the only negative thing you can fucking say about this guy, because this is one of those running backs that legitimately has the upside to get 100 plus targets in 2022. I understand they have Jamal Williams, and there's going to be games where Jamal Williams vultures DeAndre Swift on the goal line, but Jamal Williams is going to take zero volume away in terms of the receiving game for DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift gets that bread and butter, those points from catching a bunch of passes, and I think in 2022 it will be no different, and we do know that Jared Goff likes to dump the ball off, so I'm very comfortable with DeAndre Swift at pick number 15. Then we'll fast forward all the way to pick number 34, which is our third round pick, and this is where things start to get very, very dicey at the running back position. The best available running backs right now, according to ADP, would be Antonio Gibson, Josh Jacobs, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne. In my opinion, at pick 34, I don't want any of those running backs. I think Antonio Gibson might be the worst fucking third round pick I have ever seen. He is the most clear avoid player in the whole draft, and it's not even close. I just know I want nothing to do with Antonio Gibson. So at pick 34, we're not going Gibson. We're just going to go best player available, and we have one running back. We have one wide receiver, so I'm very comfortable really taking the draft in any direction. So I'm going to go ahead and go tight end and take Kyle Pitts. Now, I understand some people will say that's a reach in the third round to go with Kyle Pitts. You might be able to wait until the fourth round for him. And in some drafts, that will be the case. But in other drafts, Kyle Pitts might get picked 5-6 picks later than Mark Andrews. I think Kyle Pitts is an excellent value inside of the third round. I understand last year he struggled mightily to score a touchdown. He didn't even score a single fucking touchdown in the United States of America. His only touchdown was in that game in London. I think this year the touchdowns are bound to go up significantly. Marcus Mariota isn't that bad, and I think Kyle Pitts is in the clear position to be number 1 or number 2 in targets on his team. Drake London will either be 1 or Kyle Pitts will be number 1. That will be up at pick number 39. And here is where I'm willing to reach slightly and take a running back. I actually think your best bet here, though, is just to continue to hammer the wide receiver position. So if you want to keep it safe, you want to get Breece Hall. I'm still a little bit worried about Breece Hall, but in the fourth round, I'm fine selecting him. I think the upside is fine there with the Jets. Obviously, if Zach Wilson misses the first couple of weeks of the season, things are going to be significantly worse with Flacco, so don't expect the season to start and Breece Hall to just be absolutely dumpstering your opponent in fantasy football. He might throw you in the fucking dumpster because this offense might suck complete and utter donkey cock early on in the season, but at the end of the day here, I still do expect that we do see Breece Hall play quite well. So at pick number 39, I think Breece Hall is acceptable, but we're not going with him. We're going with my main man, Jalen waddled away, waddle, till the very next day. Jalen Waddle for the Miami Dolphins. I understand they bring in Tyreek Hill, but at the end of the day, Jalen Waddle is still a force to be reckoned with in this offense, and the fact that they bring in Tyreek Hill might get, or 100%, it will 100% give worse coverage to Jalen Waddle, because you can't put your number 1 corner on fucking Jalen Waddle when Tyreek Hill is in the offense. Tyreek Hill is amazing. So is Jalen Waddle. I like Jalen Waddle's upside. You could also go with some other receivers here. I'd be fine taking DJ Moore or taking Michael Pittman Jr. in that range as well. So now that was the early round draft strategy. Now we're going kind of towards the middle rounds of the draft here. Pick 58, 63. At pick 58 and 63, this is where if I already have 2 running backs, I am just smashing the wide receiver button, and if I have only 1 running back, I'm still probably smashing the wide receiver button, because the running backs in this range are absolutely fucking dead in terms of fantasy football purposes. Pick 58 right now is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I like CH when he goes in the 8th round of my underdog fantasy football drafts, the sponsor of today's video. I love that because I think the upside is immense with him. But at pick number 58, you would be silly to draft CH in that range. I think the upside is still there, but I ain't doing it. At pick 58, I'm looking to reach a little bit. I'm looking to get my guys. This is my favorite range of wide receivers. So pick 58 and 63, I want these wide receivers. And it can be any of these guys. It can be Chris Godwin. I understand he's probably going to miss a couple of games, but when he comes back, he has top 10 upside. I want Hollywood Brown, potentially, of the Arizona Cardinals. My biggest reason as to why I haven't been as bullish on Hollywood Brown is because I think he's going to really start off strong and then potentially fade away without DeAndre Hopkins. But if you play things smart, if your league's very trade heavy, after the first 3 games, Hollywood Brown is playing fucking chef's kiss man. If week, you can trade him away. So I'm not as big on Hollywood Brown, but I do like him. I think he's an acceptable pick in that range. I like Brandon Cooks a ton. He is one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. I love Michael Thomas. I love Allen Robinson. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. I love Cortland Sutton. I like Jerry Jeudy. I like Adam Thielen. So there's a lot of wide receivers, Darnell Mooney, in this range, 58 to 63. And you could just take any of those guys I just listed, and you are going to be very happy with those wide receivers, as they all, in my opinion, have top 12 potential. Then we get deeper into the draft. Pick 82, pick 87, and here is where I'm fine taking some running backs, because now I feel like we escaped the running back dead zone, and I like Penny. I like Chase Edmonds. I like Ramondre Stevenson. I like these running backs. So you can go with those guys. If you already took a couple running backs early, you're waiting till later to go with more running backs, then go ahead, keep hammering on wide receivers. Go with guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, who might end up being atrocious. He might end up not being the number 1 target on the team, but if he does end up being the number 1 target in the wide receiver core, I will note, I think Kelsey's going to be the number 1 target, but if he is the number 1 target in the receiving core, then Juju Smith-Schuster could legitimately be a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy football. So I want that upside on my team. So if you're looking for upside receivers in this range, I'm going Juju. I am going with Rashad Master Bateman. I'm going with Brandon Ayuk. I'm going with Roberto Woods, Bobby Trees. I love Robert Woods in this range as well. I like Treylon Burks too, but I think Robert Woods could sneaky be the number 1 receiver on this team. And then we get to pick 106, 111. Again, I love the wide receivers in this range, but they're all kind of obvious. Drake London, obviously rookie wide receiver, got banged up in that first game, but he's going to be perfectly fine. He got banged up in preseason. Maybe he misses practice all this week, but he'll be back. It's nothing to worry about. The reason why they're going to take him out and not make him practice is because he's the best fucking wide receiver on this team, so they don't want to injure him. So they're just going to put him on ice. He's going to be perfectly fine. Drake London, again, I like the upside of Burks. I like Chris Olave. I like Allen Lazard. All guys with upside. But the running backs in this range, I love as well. Guys like Nyheim Hines with a lot of pass catching upside, as well as the fact that Frank Reich is talking about using Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor, Mr. JT, the number 1 overall pick, together at the same time. And we're going to see more dump offs towards Nyheim Hines. So I like Nyheim Hines. I like Darrell Henderson, because Sean McVay's talked about Darrell Henderson and Cam Akers as kind of running backs 1A and 1B on their offense. Not Akers is the 1, Henderson's the 2. It's 1A, 1B. Much closer there. So I like them a ton as well. I love Dameon Pierce. All of my kind of prior thoughts on Dameon Pierce came true. Dameon Pierce looked fucking great in preseason, but Nick, it's just preseason. I understand, but I love Dameon Pierce. Then we're at pick 130, 135. If you're looking for running backs, I love Gainwell. I like Gus Edwards, even though he's banged up. I like Raheem Mostert. If you're looking for receivers, then I like a lot of these guys. I love Devontae Parker. Even though Golladay sucked ass in preseason, I still kind of like Golladay as well. And then one of my favorite targets back here is quickly becoming Big Bob Tunyon. Just got cleared off the PUP. Rob Tunyon is in an excellent position. Then if you're kind of looking just for some late round flyer guys, Jalen Tolbert, I like Jamison Crowder, Marvin Jones, Hayden Hurst, Kenyon Drake, some of my late round selections. So now let's pivot into doing an actual fantasy football mock draft. I just fucking hit you with the 1-2 Mayweather of 1,000 players that I like talking about, a bunch of information. Now let's put it to the test. Now let's see what an actual draft will look like if I was doing it from the 10th overall spot in a 12-team league. Whoosh. You guys like that? I made my own whoosh sound effect, so I didn't even have to edit it in. That's some next level stuff right there. So let's get on into the draft. First pick, JT, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, Cooper Kupp, Christian McCaffrey, Najee Harris, Jamar Chase, and Justin Jefferson. If Christian McCaffrey falls to the 106 in your league, you should be laughing all the way to the fucking bank if you're the 6th overall pick, because that makes no sense. But Nick, Christian McCaffrey, he's gotten hurt the last 2 years, I know, but Christian McCaffrey could easily be the number 1 running back in fantasy football if he stays healthy, so don't fall victim to just thinking about the injuries. Just push that to the side. Draft McCaffrey. So We're back up here. 3 receivers went. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 running backs off the board. Pretty normal start to the draft, of course, besides McCaffrey falling this far, but it is possible because some people are nervous. They are scaredy cats to draft Christian McCaffrey. Running backs, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, Aaron Jones. Receivers here, we're just going to go with a similar start to what we were just talking about before. We're going to go with Davante Adams. I think Davante Adams could easily be the #1 wide receiver in Las Vegas. I think that Aaron Rodgers, the downgrade from Rodgers to Carr, really isn't going to matter all that much, and I really think Davante Adams is going to score a zillion fucking touchdowns, as per usual, even in Viva Las Vegas, especially since they have so many games in division that are going to be so high scoring. This is going to be a very high-scoring division this season. After Davante Adams, we see Joe Mixon, Travis Kelce, DeAndre Swift, CeeDee Lamb, and we are back up on the board here. We could start the draft off the rip with 2 wide receivers. This is a 3 wide receiver draft, so we could do that. We could go with Mark Andrews, but I think that would be a reach here with Kelce going so short ago. We're just going to go with running back here. I do think it's perfectly fine to go with Stephon Diggs at this pick, but I want to go ahead and secure a running back that I feel confident in, and that would either be Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, or Saquon Barkley. Something came out today, a report that it seems like it's almost impossible at this point for Kamara to be suspended this season, and that is very positive news for Alvin Kamara because we could see Alvin Kamara go from being he was like a 3rd or 4th round pick a couple months ago. Then he starts moving up and up. And I think he might end up being a 1st round pick by the time you guys are drafting in late August or early September. So that's going to be something interesting to follow. So while that pick might be considered a reach today at August 15th, 2022, on August 23rd, that might be exactly where he's going. So I think he's a perfectly acceptable pick. We're going with Aaron Jones. Again, we're kind of talking about the Green Bay Packers because we just talked about it with Davante Adams. I think that Aaron Jones is going to see an increased workload in terms of receptions and targets in this offense. We saw that was the case when Davante Adams has been banged up over the last couple of years. A lot of people are riding the A.J. Dillon bandwagon, and I think it's perfectly acceptable to draft A.J. Dillon. I do. Obviously, I'm not someone that hates A.J. Dillon, but I still think Aaron Jones is the clear #1 back on this team, and I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be just, hot take, the Packers are going to be just fine without Davante Adams. After Jones, we see Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Mike Evans, Deebo Samuel, Javonte Williams, Leonard Fournette, Tyreek the Freak Hill, Mark Andrews, A.J. Brown, Ezekiel Elliott, Keenan Allen, James Conner, Breece Hall, Kyle Pitts, and Patty Mahomes. Again, the only range where I'm comfortable taking a quarterback here, if you haven't seen these videos by me before, is the 5th round. Once we get to the 5-10, I'm perfectly fine taking a quarterback, but in the first couple of rounds, I think you are really reaching and really hurting that core of your team, those starting running backs, those starting receivers that you need so much, and you can really find a quarterback that finishes as the #1 quarterback deeper on the draft. It's not like Josh Allen was the #1 quarterback pick last year, and he finished as the #1 quarterback. So I don't think you need to be drafting quarterbacks this early on. At the running back position, I think Akers is going to be fine. I think he's going to be and by fine, I mean, I don't think that injury is going to hamper him a crazy amount, but I also don't think he's worth a 3rd round pick. I like David Montgomery, but in the 3rd round, I think that's bananas. So we're not going running back here. I just don't like the running backs. We're going wide receivers. We're going to go with my boy, Titty Boy T. Higgins, wide receiver of the Cincinnati Bengals. I understand he is the #2 on the team behind Mr. Jamar Chase, but at the end of the day, this is a team that has a better offensive line. This is a team with a quarterback in Joe Burrow who might just get even better, more consistent in 2022 compared to 2021, and we all know T. Higgins is an excellent wide receiver, so to me, he's a no-brainer. In the late 3rd round after Higgins, we see David Montgomery, Justin Herbert, the pervert, Terry McLaurin, and Cam Akers. People just reaching on running backs because, I need to draft a certain amount of running backs. I like Travis Etienne, but the fact that James Robinson is going to be healthy and going to be playing likely week 1 scares me a decent amount about Etienne. I think he's still a great player, but he really needs all that pass-catching work to go his way in order for him to really smash as a 4th round pick. So we're back up on the board here. Tight ends. I do like Kittle and Waller, but at this point, they just don't excite me in the 4th round. I would have to be say here, the 412, the 501 to feel comfortable taking really either of those. So we're going to pass, just keep hammering in on the wide receiver train here. There's a bunch I like: Pittman, DJ, Mr. Deontay Johnson, the other DJ, Wiki, DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, all some of my favorite targets here. I think Cortland Sutton's acceptable as well, even though he say his ADP is pick 52. He is going to go in the 4th round, early 4th round, I think, in a majority of drafts. So we're just going to go with my favorite wide receiver available. So my technical highest ranked receiver here is Deontay Johnson, but I don't want to do the same thing in every single draft. So we're going to diversify slightly here and go with Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman, also a fucking smash pick. They get a huge quarterback upgrade going from Carson the Bum Wentz to going to Matty Ice Ice Baby Matt Ryan. I think Michael Pittman is in for a humongous 2022 campaign. And while there is other receivers on the team that I like, Perry Campbell, I also like Mr. Alec Pierce. I think at the end of the day, Michael Pittman is just the clear number one guy in that offense. Obviously, they still have Jonathan Taylor, who they're going to be using as well. Shocker, right? Jonathan Taylor going to get some usage. After that, we see George Kittle meet Timbers, Antonio Gibson, Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs, Deontay Johnson, Darren Waller, DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle, J.K. Dobbins, Jerry Jeudy, Joe Shiesty, DK Metcalf, Cortland Sutton, Mike Williams, Hollywood Brown, Elijah Mitchell, Brandon Cooks, and Amari Cooper. This team going big dick energy here. Najee, Chubb, Hall, Etienne, and Elijah Mitchell. So we're back up on the board here. The running backs, again, this is the dead zone. These are the running backs that I don't want anything to fucking do with, so I'm not going to reach and pick them. I think it's acceptable to take L. Jax or Kyler here, but this guy already took Justin Herbert, the pervert, so it seems unlikely that he's going to go double quarterback. So I think at the 603, one of these quarterbacks that I favor could fall my way, or should fall my way realistically, unless this guy takes 2 or this guy takes 2 for some reason, which they shouldn't. So we're just going to go wide receiver again here. Again, tight ends. I like the tight ends, Waller, Kittle, but they're just not here. I think Schultz is acceptable in the 5th round, but again, do I want to force my hand at that when I like some late round tight ends? No. Running backs, again, we in the dead zone. So we're just going with wide receivers with high upside. I think based upon how we built our team here with Adams, Higgins, and Pittman, the possible pick here of Godwin makes a lot of sense because we have 3 reliable wide receivers. So while Godwin's out, we just use the other guys. So that's what we're going to be doing here. We're going to go with Godwin. It's definitely riskier if Godwin's like your wide receiver 1 or 2 because hey, you're not going to be able to start Godwin for the first potential start of the season for the first couple of weeks. But with our situation, we can just plug and play someone else in the flex and not have to worry about too much. And then when Godwin returns, he could be a top 10 receiver in fantasy. So to me, I think it's kind of just a no-brainer to select Godwin based upon the build of a team that we have. So we're back up on the board here at the 603. And we are just going to go with quarterback. If Lamar Jackson doesn't fall to the 6th round in your draft, you can just go with Jalen Hurts. That's perfectly acceptable. And say Hurts or Mr. Lamar Jackson weren't available, I probably would have just went wide receiver again or went with Dalton Schultz. So we're going to go with L. Jax. I have him ranked higher than Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is really going to shock a lot of people this year. Lamar Jackson beefed up in the offseason, looking a little bit stronger, definitely looking stronger. I think he gained, I believe, 25 pounds of, it looks like straight fucking muscle. The guy's jacked, and his arm looks better as well. He was throwing bombs in training camp. A lot of footage I've seen out of training camp for Lamar Jackson. He looked very, very good. This is the best I've seen Lamar look in his career so far. But Nick, it's just in training camp. I know. So you can't take it too seriously. But in terms of how he looks as a human, he just looks the best. So after Lamar Jackson comes Damian Harris, A.J. Dillon, Dalton Schultz, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jalen Hurts, Miles Sanders, Kenneth Walker, T.J. Hawkinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashad Bateman, Dallas Goedert, Michael Thomas, Kareem Hunt, Russell Wilson, Drake London, DeAndre Hopkins, and Gabe Davis. So we got our quarterback. We're not taking another quarterback in this draft because I think if you take one of these upper echelon quarterbacks, a guy that I think could be the number 1 quarterback in fantasy football, there is absolutely no reason to draft another quarterback. So not going to look at that. If we do wait a significantly longer time, say we take our first tight end in the 12th round, then maybe we want to take 2. But my good rule of thumb is typically just to take 1 quarterback and 1 tight end if possible. Obviously, some drafts go differently, so obviously don't just take that to heart and just only do that in drafts, but it's a good rule of thumb in my opinion, as long as you have the correct positioning here. Now, we're at the point where I think we've escaped the dead zone at running back. I like some of these wide receivers, but we are going to go running back here. Cordero Patterson, I think, has a decent amount of upside in Atlanta with the Falcons. Obviously, last year we saw him break out. He finished as an excellent running back. He was basically a league winner that you picked up off of the waiver wire, but I'm still very confident. I'm still on the Devin Singletary fucking bandwagon, all aboard. At the end of last season, this guy was chef's kiss. Manu Fweek, fantastic. I think that he is going to be the number 1 running back on this team. I know people like James Cook, but I'm very much on the Devin Singletary bandwagon. I think it's acceptable to take James Cook, though. I just would prefer Devin Singletary. After Singletary, Tony Pollard, Hunter Renfrow, Cordero Patterson, and Devontae Smith. So we're going running back yet again here. The safer pick is Chase Edmonds, because we all know that Rashad Penny has a quote-unquote injury history. But if Penny doesn't get hurt, Penny, it seems like basically everything I've read out of Seattle is that this is Rashad Penny's backfield. unless he gets hurt. So like, or unless he fucks up severely. And we all know that Mr. Gum-chewing Pete Carroll doesn't give two fucks about draft capital that he invests into any player. So I think that Rashad Penny, even though they just drafted Walker at that high draft capital, I don't think that's going to sway them away from Penny, but I'm going to go with Edmonds. I just think he's a lot safer. He has a shit ton of upside as well in Miami. It seems like I'm a Dolphins fan, so I pay significant attention to the training camp. I pay attention to every training camp, but I look at basically every single news blurb possible that I could read on any team, and times 7 for the Dolphins, and it seems like Edmonds is the clear #1 back on the team. So after Edmonds, Rashad Penny, Tyler Lockett in my pocket, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, Treylon Burks, Dickie Dak Prescott, Elijah Moore, Aaron Rodgers, Brandon Ayuk, Matthew Stafford, Chris Olave, Sky with 2 Ys more, James Cook, Zach Ertz, Dawson Knox one time, if you are with me, Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Ramondre Stevenson, and Melvin Gordon, who just got banged up, but he's going to be fine. So I think what we're just going to do here is just go on a running back train and then just start hammering receivers yet again. So looking at the tight ends here, again, I like Freiermuth, I like Cole Kmet, I like Albert O, I like Hunter Henry, but just not in this range. So we're just going to go with Dameon Pierce. I love Dameon Pierce. His ADP is quickly rising. He was a guy that you were able to get in like the 13th round. I think he's going to be more of a 9th, 10th round pick, and I think that could continue to rise even further. Now, he wasn't a guy that was a bell cow in college at Florida, but everything I'm seeing out of training camp, even in the preseason game, he just looked so good. It would be shocking to me if he wasn't the lead back on the team. And yes, you can be a successful running back on a fucking atrocious team like the Houston Texans. After Dameon Pierce comes Christian Kirk, Robert Woods, Trey Lance, and Chase Claypool. I love Trey Lance. He looked great in training camp, but I already knew he was going to be great anyways. So we're back up on the board here. Tony is banged up, but it's nothing that severe to where I'm fine drafting him. If it was something more severe where, hey, he might miss the first 3 weeks of the season, then there's no way I'm drafting Tony because I don't want to be chasing injuries. But Nick, you drafted Chris Godwin. I know I kind of chased injuries slightly, but I just know who Godwin is. And in reality, Kadarius Toney is not of the stature of Godwin to where I'd feel comfortable doing that. So after Tony, we see Freiermuth, Gesicki, Russell Gage, Michael Carter, Derek Carr, MVS, Cole Kmet, Isaiah Spiller, James Robinson, Tyler, yeah, Boyd, Alexander Madison, you like that, Kirk Cousins, Darrell Henderson, Tyler Algier, Jameson Williams, Naheem Hines, Marlon, Return of the Mac, Ronald Jones, and we're back up on the board. Ronald Jones, man, oh man, in the offseason early on, I was like, oh, he's the #2 running back on this team easily. Now they have Isaiah Pacheco, or however you pronounce his last name. I apologize. Let's pull his name up. Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco, sorry, pronounced his last name wrong, who's getting steam. Yeah, I'm not picking Ronald Jones anymore. I have a bag of him on Underdog Fantasy, so I've drafted him enough to where it's like, you know what, if he sucks, then I screwed myself over a little bit there, but it's just not worth drafting him anymore at this point. I really just don't think he's going to have that crazy of a role in the offense like I previously believed, and that's okay. That's okay, because things change from May to all the way until August. So we're back up on the board here. We just spammed running back, so we are going more receivers here. I like Gallup, but again, you're kind of chasing injuries with that. Jarvis Landry is safe. George Pickens is just looking like this guy's the next fucking Antonio Brown. Now, obviously, is he going to be Antonio Brown? Of course not, but George Pickens is looking so good. That toe-tapping catch in preseason, all these clips I'm seeing out of training camp, they make your eyes fucking orgasm. And we all know the Pittsburgh Steelers are amazing at selecting wide receivers in the middle rounds of the NFL draft. So George Pickens fits perfectly into that agenda that I have. So I like Pickens a lot. Formerly like a 15th, 16th round pick, now all the way in the 11th round. Probably will move up even further. They do still have Chase Claypool, though, and Deontay Johnson. So he might be the #3 receiver in targets on the team, but he does make special plays. And if someone was to get hurt on the team, knock on wood, we don't root for injuries, then Pickens would legitimately have top 12 potential value in fantasy football. After Pickens, we see Albert O, Michael Gallup, Rashad White, and Rondale Moore. But before we can get on into my next pick breakdown here, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friends and our sponsor of today's video. I'm pointing at him right now. I think, yeah, kind of. Underdog Fantasy, the best place to play fantasy football this summer. The Best Ball Mania 3 tournament has $10 million in total prize money. Just draft your team and that's it. No waivers, no trades, no in-season management. You don't have to worry about anything. All you got to do is draft your team and that's it. Underdog will give you the best score at every single position every single week for you, so you don't have to worry about any of that. Last year's Best Ball Mania champion, drafted in June. So there is no need to wait. You can hop in now. You don't have to wait until late August, early September like you would for your redraft league. All you got to do is click on the link in the video description down below and get a first match deposit bonus of up to $100 with Underdog and our best ball and fantasy football draft kit for 100% free. That's a combined $170 of value with a first time deposit of $100. Make sure you guys check that out. Link in the video description, probably also in the pinned comment as well. Code Stokastic on Underdog Fantasy. Alrighty, so we're back on into things here. Make sure you guys do check out promo code Stokastic on Underdog Fantasy. Click on the link in the description. You guys know how things go. So we're back up on the board here. I think Christian Watson, now that he's been elevated off the pup, I'm a little bit less nervous about him, but there's so much steam about the other receivers there. Romeo Dubes lighting it up. I just don't know. I'm just kind of avoiding Watson. I think Galladay would be a fine pick. He has sucked absolute donkey wee-wee in training camp and in preseason, not in training camp. But I'm so confident that maybe there's just some rust there. Maybe he is still good. Like, I think he's a good player. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trapped into my former bias of Galladay with Stafford. But I think that he's still worthy of a 12th round pick. But we already have Tony. So do I really want two Giants wide receivers? Probably not, right? Probably not. It does guarantee, though, that we will figure out who the number one receiver is, and we will have him on our team. But that's okay. I think Julio is acceptable, too, even though we have Chris Godwin, because Tampa Bay is just such a pass-heavy team that is perfectly fine. Whereas the Giants, it might not be like that. But fuck all those people we just talked about. We're going with Jahan Dotson. Looked great in preseason. There's been a lot of positive reports for him. The only issue is that Carson Wentz just isn't very good. So after Dotson, we get Kenny G-Spot, Kenny Galladay, Justin Fields, Hunter Henry, Tua Tagovailoa, Christian Watson, Julio Jones, Jarvis Landry, Kenny Gainwell, Deshaun Watson, Irv Smith, Devontae Parker, Jacoby Myers, J.D. McKissick, Khalil Herbert, DJ Chark, DJ Chark, Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Tolbert, and Mark Ingram. So back up on the board here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 running backs. We should probably get a fifth here. And we didn't take Swift in this draft, so I'm fine taking Jamal Williams. I think he has a decent amount of just floor every week. Like, he's going to see some touches, get some catches. But to really want to be playing him right, unless you're in a squeeze, you're going to need Swift to get hurt. We don't root for injuries, but I think Williams, like, in a crunch time scenario where you need 9 points, Williams could get that for you. So after Williams, we see David Njoku, Raheem Mostert, Noah Fant, and Matt Ryan. We're kind of at the bottom of the barrel at tight end, so we're just going to go with best player available, in my opinion, which is Tyler Higbee. I don't think he does anything special and wins us our league, but I also don't think he has the kind of downside to just bust your team, meaning, like, he's not going to have really any games where he just shits the bed and gets, like, 0 points. But he's not going to have those games where he scores 25 points. So if you're hunting for crazy upside, maybe you don't want to go Higbee. But for me, I thought he was a perfectly acceptable pick based on the team that we have built. So after Higbee, we see Brian Robinson, Mecole Hardman, KJ Osborne, Tyrion Davis, Price, Jameis Winston, Chuba Hubbard, Mac Jones, Van Jefferson, Gus Edwards, Hayden Hurst, Zamir Weiss, Darrell Williams, Gerald Everett, Robert Tonyan, Sammy Watkins, Deonta Foreman, Odell Beckham Jr. And now, since we kind of shit the bed at tight end here, again, I like Higbee, but I just want to go for more of an upside pick here, and we're just going to go with Austin Hooper. I understand that the Tennessee Titans aren't the most pass-heavy team, but I think Hooper's a talented enough player where he could carve off a decent role in this offense. So now we're going to do the electric slide over here, put myself right here, and then go ahead and recap our team. So our team comprised of Lamar Jackson, Aaron Jones, Devin Singletary, Devontae Adams, Higgins, Michael Pittman, Tyler Higbee, Chris Godwin, Chase Edmonds, Damian Pierce, Kadarius Toney, George Pickens, Jahan Dotson, Jamal Williams, and Austin Hooper. Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys thought about today's team. Do you like the team? Do you hate the team? Let me know down below in the comment section. And while you're down there, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure to use promo code Stokastic on Underdog Fantasy. I love you guys so much. Hope you have a great rest of your guys' day. And as always, good boy.